Video games are for kids. How many times have you heard this from either a Karen or a Kyle? As a gamer, how many times has it irked you? The thing is that games aren't just for kids. I mean, they can be. They're often very tailored to a younger demographic. One of the traits the medium, however, has progressed significantly in, though, is the factor of inclusion and how video games can be for everyone. But in order to do that and make money in the process, game makers and developers need to start them off early. And nothing rakes in more money than a brand new console launch. That's why with nearly every generation of console releases, there's always been that one game that looks a little too kiddie. There's always that one game that makes all of us collective gamers wince and go, yep, that's the new knack. I truly feel bad for that game. It just memed itself into the echelon of gaming culture from now on because it was knack. But then again, on the other side of the spectrum, that was just a game. How about an entire peripheral you had no choice but to buy? In any case, we had a brand new generation of consoles dawn on us late last year. And some of us were able to get our hands on them, others not so lucky, but it did manage to cover a broad spectrum of gaming groups and audiences when they were released. Enter Bugsnax, a cute exploration-driven game developed by the folks behind Octodad, launching right alongside the PlayStation 5. It was colorful, happy, enthusiastic, and seems to have all the right cheerful elements of a child-friendly game that toddlers and smaller children will enjoy.
We are not friends.
Oh, okay, that kind of came out of nowhere. Well, he's the old guy of the group. I'm sure the rest of the cast of characters will have a fantastic good time sing-along.
Oh, Triffy, I miss you so much. I would hug your cactus facsimile, but it would only hurt me further.
Jesus Christ, what the hell? I thought Bugsnax was about catching little cute critters, at least. Maybe that's what we were led to believe from those initial trailers. Maybe Bugsnax is more than what we eat. Bugsnax was revealed during PlayStation's Future Revealed event on June 11th, 2020, where the look of the PlayStation 5 was first unveiled. And of course, most correspondents were quick to look at the game's presentation and call it one of those games that parents are gonna have to buy for little Timmy because they don't want him playing anything too violent or intense on his likely non-existent PlayStation 5. The only element that stood out to influencers and people covering the event was that catchy theme song accompanying the trailer, with Games Radar even saying, even if you haven't heard of Bugsnax, the game, there's a good chance you probably heard Bugsnax, the theme tune. It was a good marketing move on developer Young Horse's part, but it had to settle for being in the shadow of not only bigger reveals and announcements, like a new God of War in development, a new Ratchet & Clank installment coming soon, and of course the goddamn console look itself. I was mainly lukewarm on the game up until I learned it was going to be the first free PlayStation 5 game for PS Plus members, and since fate would have a PS5 come into my possession, regardless of how anemic my bank account now was, I decided to fit it into my streaming schedule and give it a shot. Admittedly, I was a bit skeptical at first. The look of the game models and environments were a little too simple for my taste, and the gameplay wasn't anything to write home about. But the story had an interesting hook. The explorer who invited you to Snacktooth Island in the first place has gone missing, and the inhabitants of Snacksburg, located on the island, task you to find her while bringing back the villagers and catching wild creatures called Bugsnax.
Too bad I'm dying, though.
Much like with a lot of games, once I got into the comfortable loop of catching Bugsnax, talking to the villagers and uncovering the mystery behind the island, I was, as the kids say, vibing with it. It also helped that the gameplay started to become more diverse and fun, adding new tools and traps and bait to help you catch more challenging Bugsnax. However, I was still under the mindset that I was playing a children's game, or rather a game catered more towards kids, and being that killer app to get non-gaming parents to feel less guilty about buying them, or at least trying to buy a PlayStation 5 for little Jimmy, Timmy, Kim, whoever. It wasn't until I got into the moment from the beginning of this video where Philbo, the empathic self-proclaimed mayor of Snacksburg, trying to do right by everyone, and is bluntly told he's not a friend of the farmer Wambus. No sugarcoating, no hesitation, no pity. Just down to brass tacks. It caught me off guard so much after being in this world and with this aesthetic for a couple of hours at this point, and gave me the pretext that this is going to be a much deeper experience than I was led on to believe. See, not only was I respectful of the boldness for an all ages oriented game like this to have a character say he's not friends with another character, but I was also smitten with how consistent the writing kept itself with said characters. Try as he might, Philbo hardly wins the respect he desires from his colleagues, and though progress is made in all the characters' development, Wambus, for example, is still hesitant to be all buddy-buddy with Philbo toward the end. There was no instant fix like Philbo getting Wambus that ultimate gift or having just one open conversation about their feelings and then boom, it's done, it's all wrapped up in a nice little bow. This gives the intent that the game has no intentions on talking down to its player, regardless of age. It certainly doesn't dance around real-world problems people have either, such as depression, anxiety, or even a sense of belonging. Eggabell, one of the Sax book's patrons, is the prime example I homed in on when deconstructing how deep the game was not afraid to make their fluffy-looking protagonists be. She's the village doctor who is constantly obsessed with the phobia of not being able to properly help someone in need and always thinking she's going to do more damage than not. What works well with this trait of hers is that it's not just a Grampus in Bugsnax kind of problem, it's a crippling mental cross practically every doctor in the real world faces. What if you can't save that one life? It doesn't help that Eggabell's girlfriend Lizbert is missing as well, who is the central focal point of the plot. Yes, that's correct. Girlfriend in an E-rated game. This is actually rather awesome. Another appreciative aspect of the rating is how natural the game's way of inclusion came about, and all of the Grampuses came off as characters first instead of checkboxes. The game then flourished when it would reward you with these story beats with side quests that are worth doing. Some of the deeper themes and compelling character arcs would only happen if you took part in those characters' side jobs. One involved the character Snorpy, who won me over with his rootable intent to reveal how he feels for Chandler, the village bro, resulting in an endearing twist. Another quest made me realize that one of the characters is non-binary, a detail I could have potentially missed if I had rolled the credits without ever completing that mission. This, coupled with gameplay that got more and more complex and thoughtful as the game went on, delivered a much more sound package than people giving it credit for. I hear nobody really talking about all of these methods of inclusion and deep gameplay, and it was enough to make me consider platinum the game at one point. Until I saw some of the trophies, and then I was like, alright, I'm good. I got other games to play and other things to do. And if Wambus's whiplash answer to Philbo before wasn't jarring enough, the rather dark and dramatic ending might. Much like earlier moments and thematic elements weren't afraid to talk down to the younger players, the game's ending is not afraid to pull climactic punches, even if it involves killing off main characters in the process.
I'm sure she's not far.
Now, don't get it twisted, it's still an E-rated game, so don't expect fatalities or rampant conversations about the destructive perpetual cycle of violence. It's tempered to match the aesthetic of the game that it's set up itself for, but it still heavily implies that the player's earlier actions will have very heavy consequences, mainly around a twist on a central mechanic of the game that changed my perspective on it. If I were to replay it to get that platinum, I would think twice about participating in this mechanic again, now knowing what I know about it. A couple of months after the game's release, the developers then revealed that they intended the climax to be even darker. Maybe for the sequel. Looking back, Bugsnax reminded me an awful lot of good family films, not kids films. There's a clear difference. Kids films are those that are made to just sell toys and shut kids up. Family films are films containing themes, jokes, storylines, and characters that all form of audiences can watch and enjoy, while the film never really talks down to that demographic. Sure, it may pop with colorful and or distracting palettes, or the usual suspect of jokes pandering to the least common denominator, but a balanced and nutritional helping of thematic material and thoughtful substance is what set these properties apart from the rest. Movies like Toy Story, Into the Spider-Verse, The Iron Giant are perfect examples of this practice, and it's one not just exclusive to film. Here's to hoping that gamers will embrace this kind of concept more in the future, much like different franchises have done, like the Ori games, Little Big Planet, Journey, Unravel, and now, Bugsnax. Thank you so much for watching this really quick video essay. I know it's a little bit of a shorter one, but I just wanted to kind of have my 2 cents on this game that I personally believe is a little overlooked. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Show your support by subscribing and turning on notifications. And if you guys want to show your support even further, the link for the Patreon page is also going to be in the description. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care and stay humble.